A legend that caused the death of 46 people, frightened the whole city. A statue was erected. The legend of Mothman. The town of Point Pleasant, located in West Virginia, was a happy town until 1966. The first event took place when the dates indicated the month of November 1966. On November 12th, 5 men were digging graves in the cemetery. On the ground, they saw the shadow of something big flying in the sky. Later, when they raised their heads up, they saw eye to eye with a terrible huge creature. He was about 2 to 3 meters tall and had huge wings. Besides, his eyes were red. The 5 men didn't know what to do out of fear. This was the first encounter of the terrible creature with people. The sequel was to come before long. On November 14th, 2 days after the first encounter, a resident of the town was watching TV at his house and saw 2 red things standing on a field in his backyard. When he got curious and approached the red thing, he saw that it actually belonged to the eyes of a tall and black being. When the creature saw the man approaching, it jumped into the air and flew away. There was a scary scream. And the man's shepherd dog went after the creature and was never seen again. One night later, Mothman showed himself again. 2 young couples named Roger and Linda Scarberry, Steve and Mary Millette, were driving their cars on November 15th. As they passed a TNT factory dating back to the Second World War, they saw something in the sky that they had never witnessed before. What they saw had human-like legs. However, he was not a person. His eyes were red. He was making very interesting and scary sounds. And in front of him was the lifeless body of a dog. This was probably the sheepdog that went after the creature the night before. As the couples were driving away, Mothman noticed them and followed them by flying. Roger, who was driving the car, quickly drove away from there. But the creature was not ceasing to follow them. When the car entered the town, the creature left them and flew towards the TNT field. The couple immediately went to the police station. But what they heard from the cops scared them even more. Because some eyewitnesses had previously told the cops that they had seen the creature. Every day the number of people who saw him was growing. There were reports coming into the police station every day. Locals believed that he lived in an empty nuclear power plant in an area where there was once a top-secret government facility where nuclear weapons were tested. According to the records, more than 100 people said they had seen him in 1 year from 1966 to 1967 and reported it. The couples appeared in front of press to tell about this terrible event they had on November 16th. Dr. Robert Smith, an expert on wildlife, attended the meeting in Dr. Based on eyewitness accounts, Smith said that Mothman may actually be a bird. According to Dr. Smith, he said that Mothman may actually be a species of bird called Grus canadensis. But the testimonies of eyewitnesses said otherwise. According to the testimony of people who saw Mothman, they said that they saw a 3-meter tall creature with crimson eyes. It had nothing to do with a bird. Mothman didn't look like a bird. He was a human-like creature. A very interesting incident happened during the hours of the press conference. At that time, a couple with a baby were on their way to visit the Thomas family, who lived on the outskirts of the town. When they reached the house and got out of the car, they saw a large gray creature right next to them. Seeing the creature's terrible red eyes and huge size, the woman dropped her baby on the floor from her arms out of fear. Then she picked up her baby from the floor and quickly ran to her friend's house. She was let in the door by one of the children who lived in the house. And the creature went after them and continued to watch the house for a long time, looking through the windows. And when the police arrived half an hour later, the creature had disappeared. But this was not the last time Mother Marcella encountered the creature. Because she lived on the outskirts of Point Pleasant, near the TNT zone. That's why she claimed that the creature visited her house several times and heard his frightening screams. Marcella's fear of Mothman had disrupted her psychology. For many years, she had nightmares and experienced psychological problems. And the TNT zone began to be called the creature's nest. This territory, which was used to store ammunition in the Second World War, had a fairly large area of land. The area was immediately adjacent to the 2,500-acre wildlife station. This means that there are dense forests, steep hills and tunnels in the vicinity. People thought that this was a home for the creature because the creature was most often seen here. Two firefighters named Ben Enochs and Paul Yoder said that they saw this creature in the TNT area on November 18, 1966. Sheriff Millard Halstead goes to the TNT area with 4 people who have actually seen Mothman, and they hear a high-pitched sound that is deafening to the ears. The last action that Mothman, who has spread fear to hundreds of people in the 1 year he has been seen in the town, will take before he leaves the town will throw the whole town into chaos. Mothman will do his terrible last act, which will cause the death of 46 people, and say goodbye to this town. In 1967, a terrible incident occurred in Point Pleasant. On December 15th, there was a heavy traffic due to the upcoming Christmas. The bridge called Silver Bridge near the town could not handle this heavy traffic and collapsed. 46 people lost their lives in this terrible accident. In addition, 2 of the bodies were never found. Although the cause of the accident was explained as insufficient bridge maintenance. There are many eyewitnesses who believe that Mothman caused this accident and said that Mothman was near the bridge before the accident. After this disaster, Mothman was never seen again and disappeared. A statue of the phenomenon creature was even erected in the town. There is also even the Mothman Festival, which takes place annually in the town of Point Pleasant, located in the city center. You can attend the festival, listen to guest speakers and learn more about Mothman. You can also visit the museum, where there is information and items about the creature. There has been a lot of research done about Mothman. Many books have been written. The most comprehensive book is written by the writer John Keel, who is interested in extraterrestrial life and other supernatural activities. It was a book called The Mothman Prophecies. The writer John Keel attributed the collapse of the bridge to Mothman. In his book, John described that during the periods when this frightening flying creature was seen, other disturbing events too occurred at Point Pleasant. The records included UFO reports, mutilation of animals, and annoying visits to some houses by officers in bad and dark clothes. According to John, Mothman was an entity that had come to Earth in another dimension in space or time. It was made in 2002 in a film about the creature called The Mothman Prophecies. In addition, the movie series Jeepers Creepers, released in 2001, was also inspired by the creature named Mothman. Although not as much as in 1966 and 1967, there are still those who say that they sometimes see the creature. In 2016, a person who did not want to give his name claimed that the legendary creature had returned with these photos that he had posted. The photographer gave the pictures to local news station. He claimed to have taken the photos while driving on State Route 2. The news station published the photos in a report dated November 21, 2016. The images are grainy and show the silhouette of a two-legged, winged creature flying around treetops. So Mothman, who disappeared after the collapse of the Silver Bridge, when will return? He could still be among us in 2022. I just remembered the story from the movie Jeepers Creepers. The movie Jeepers Creepers told the story of a creature that returns to Earth to feed for 23 days every 23 years. Every 23 years, for 23 days, it gets to eat.
About 23 years ago. About 3 more days.
He will come every 23 years for 23 days. Every 23 years.